Bitcoin hit $103,000 last night. Let's talk about it. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, smash the like button, and share this video with a friend. I've been in crypto since 2016, and I try to help you guys navigate this space. So there's been a lot of fear going on in the market, and rightfully so. I think that, the cascading liquidation event of last Friday really put a dent in the whole crypto market, especially the altcoins. And I think it shook a lot of fear when it comes to, people's faith in these exchanges, or maybe leverage positions. And I think that, when it comes to these Bitcoin treasury companies or centralized exchanges, I would not be surprised to see that there's a contagion going on where, maybe them, one or multiple, kind of went under. It's going to take a while to kind of, roll out and see how that kind of plays out. But, I wouldn't be surprised. And there's a lot of, people saying that the crypto cycle is done. You see gold at all-time highs. Today it has corrected a little bit, to be fair, but that's usually not something that you want to be seeing, especially when the stock market is kind of going sideways or down, and then, just it doesn't really look good across the board. I understand that. And if you're somebody that's been in crypto for, maybe you got in at the end of 2021, or maybe you've got in recently and you're kind of weighing out the options of what to do, or what you could, just your options, I'm going to kind of share both scenarios of what I think could happen and what you should prepare for in a, scenario where things do not go your way. So I personally have consolidated a lot of my more speculative altcoins into more of your Solana, Ethereum, and other just blue chip cryptos that I don't necessarily want to name, but they're ones that I have a little bit more faith in when it comes to that, as in comparison to maybe meme coins or lower market cap. Because obviously if the price of Bitcoin goes down and this is a true bear market, you're going to see a lot of those altcoins go to zero, or they're going to lose 90 to 95% of their value anyway. And so I'd rather just run the risk of, maybe if you're in altcoins, maybe they go down maybe 50% or 40% or whatever, but you're still going to have some upside if things just turn around. Same thing with Bitcoin. So I've consolidated and I've actually purchased some Bitcoin recently, just because I feel like it's not a bad time to be buying. It never really is, in my opinion. And I think that, with gold going up, assuming that something doesn't actually just break in the system, I don't really think that would be the case. Bitcoin is going to have a catch-up trade at some point in time, and I do have confidence that it's going to go to all-time highs and probably even higher in the coming, if not soon, then even if we go through a bear market, Bitcoin's always going to recover, and it's just a very scarce, powerful asset that I've always loved holding. So I kind of like to consolidate my altcoins into Bitcoin anyway, and just kind of stack my sats over time. So that's kind of my little perspective with kind of how I'm handling this, because I'm going to still have the upside if things turn around and keep going up. And you can obviously take on more risk if things look a lot better, but we never know with the presidents and these trade wars and inflation policy, all that kind of stuff. And so I think in a time of uncertainty, it makes a lot of sense to decide what's going to affect you less, consolidating your altcoins and whatever, and maybe watching the price go up, another 2, 3, 5x or whatever, or keeping risky, but you lose